templates. That's way better than using just strings. But let's think about this example. We had a variable and we wanted to pass that up. But if we create this, another HTML, say, how are we going to have it so that it could say, hello, Michael, it could say, hello, Noel? We can't just sit here and update this over and over. We don't know what the variable is going to be. So is there a way to pass variables from our function to the HTML if we want to be able to send that back up as part of the response? You bet. So the thing that's going to help us is something called Jinja, which is a templating engine. And you'll learn about different ones as you go throughout different stacks. But a templating engine is simply a tool that allows us to put programming code into our HTML that will account for any variables or functionality that we want to add, and will ultimately to our user, our end user, send back HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But Jinja is the one that Python uses, or particularly Flask uses. So the way it works is instead of this string, we're going to, just as we were before, render the template. And in this case, we created a new one called name.html. And what we're going to do here is we can pass in additional named arguments. They must be named, but the names that we give them are going to be the names that we'll then be able to use on this side of the page. So name here is just this variable that came in through the URL and into our function. And some name is the key name that we're going to use over here. And the syntax, if we want to just simply print a value over here, is to use the name that we provided when we called on this render template function. So let's test this out. Now when we go to localhost 5000 Noel, we'll see hello Noel. And if we inspect our element, we'll notice that this line of code is simply HTML. So the end user doesn't know that it has gone through Jinja and been cleaned up and that it was once a variable. But Jinja takes care of that for us. Great, so now if we go to another name, just to make sure, it updates. So this is for if we want to literally print values to the screen or to our browser. But if we wanted to have maybe a little bit of functionality, for example, maybe I wanted to have it multiply my name some number of times. I add that. That means I also have this piece in here. So what if I also wanted to go and add this up here? So we can also do, when we want to do functionality, maybe do a loop. So we can do for I in range and 0 to the num times. We use this syntax, which is letting Jinja know that we want to not just print a value, but actually do some functionality. And since there's no indentation over here, we need to remember to close off the for loop. We need to indicate the end of the for loop by using this. So maybe inside of here, we'll just have a p tag that prints I. So if we refresh this and add a number, we want to see our name 3 times. Oh, another error. So here, it says string object cannot be interpreted as an integer. And if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, it highlights for me, usually one of the last 2 lines will tell you where it's having trouble. So for I in range, it doesn't like num times. It's telling me that num times is a string. That's because even though we know it's a number, all variables will come in as strings. So if you remember back a few assignments, if we want it to be treated as a number, we just have to cast it as a number. So what times was a string, we are now saying, hey, use it as a number. So if we refresh the page now, we'll see 0, 1, 2. Because we wanted to see that 3 times. If we do maybe 5 times, 6 times, whoops, we'll see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's how we can get it to loop over and over again. Maybe we wanted to just say his name over and over again, so we could just do some name and repeat it over and over and over again. So that's how those different templating engine syntaxes work.